Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I got a couple really interesting comments last week, and I wanted to address them in a video because I think it was just a really interesting topic. And there was a video where I put painting a picture versus stamping a picture side by side, and I kind of posed the question: is it faster to stamp or is it faster to paint? And I thought it'd be a bit of fun, which it was. It was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of comments like, well, if I could paint like that, I wouldn't have to stamp, or why do you stamp if you can draw? I don't see why you'd want to buy stamps and do that if you can paint. Like, what's the point? And I wanted to address this because I paint and I stamp. I've painted for longer, but I still enjoy rubber stamping. Sometimes it's because I want to impress a texture into something, or I want to put a pattern all over something, or I want to, I want the look of something like an old vintage, like etching or something like that. Like the vintage, I love vintage ad stamps and vintage, like pattern stamps and things like that that are just, you wouldn't replicate that drawing. It's just a little mechanical, like typesetting, things like that. So, you know, sometimes it's just a look that I want. Other times it's because I really, like, I want to make a card, I want to make a card for a kid or something, and I want to use a style that's really not my painting and drawing style. For instance, I really like house mouse stamps. I really like, but I wouldn't draw a house mouse. I would just feel really icky about that. But stamping a house mouse and giving credit back to that original artist or the stamp company, so like the artist and the stamp company who made the stamps benefit from that, I feel great about that. I wouldn't want to redraw somebody's artwork to put it on a card, but buying a stamp, it kind of gives me permission to do that because that stamp's been licensed, it's appropriate for that, and it pays homage and respect back to the original artist. Like, I have a set of stamps, and it's like my favorite, they're my favorite stamps, I think. They are the Flower Fairies by, is it Marie Cicely Baker, is that right? And there were these flower fairies. They're so cute. And Crafter's Companion came out with a bunch of sets, probably about 8 years ago or something. I bought every set, and I just adore them. They're so well done, they're so pretty, they're so fun to color with markers, and I just love them. And I wouldn't redraw that, you know, or trace it or anything, or photocopy it or print it out, because I would just feel wrong about that. When, you know, having the stamp, I can feel great about it, and then I can also make a bunch of them really quickly because I can stamp them out a bunch of times and then color them. Whereas if I had to, you know, even if you were tracing it with a pen, you still would, it would still take time, much more time than stamping. And so that's one reason. Sometimes I want to use another's artwork, and by buying the stamp that's been licensed legally, it's a great way to use somebody else's artwork in your creations and do it the right way. So that's another reason why I like to stamp even though I can draw. Another reason is sometimes I want to do like polymer clay, things like that, where I want to impress a texture on something, and you don't do that with drawing. I mean, I guess you could take a toothpick and you could scrape a texture in there, but it wouldn't be the same. It would take a lot of time and it wouldn't look as good. So there's another reason why I would stamp rather than draw. But I think the biggest reason why I like to stamp and I like to share these videos on YouTube is that it's so accessible to people. And you could say, well, no, it's not accessible because it can be an expensive hobby. Yes, it can be an expensive hobby. It doesn't have to be an expensive hobby. When I had my first child, I didn't really do much crafting. I painted. I taught painting lessons. I had a studio downtown, and I taught art classes for a living. And when I had my son, I was taking all kinds of photos, and I wanted to get them in books. And I had seen some magazines in a store that were about scrapbooking, and they were very artistic. They weren't like the what I thought of as scrapbooking. They were very artsy and fun and creative. And I thought, oh, that's really neat. And then I found out there was actually a scrapbooking store that sold nothing but scrapbooking supplies in a town near me. And I saw that they had a crop that you could just go there. It was free to attend, and then you could shop when you were there, which it was free, you know, most of us did, so it, you know, paid for them keeping the store open for us to work. And when I set foot in that store, that first crop, people were so welcoming, and there was such a community there, and I never felt a community like that in the art world. I felt like it was almost like a cutthroat dog eat dog type when you get a bunch of artists together. I didn't feel that welcoming feeling that I felt when I stepped into a a scrapbooking crop, and you know, we were stamping, and we were, you know, using pens, and we were collaging, and we were using fibers and doing all this fun stuff, and everyone was so welcoming and encouraging to one another, and it was such a great feeling to be part of that. And I think that's why I continue to enjoy stamping, even though that store is closed and all the other scrapbooking stores are closed in my area. Just, you know, just sharing like that. I have friends that craft that wouldn't necessarily say that they would paint. You know, they might come to one of my painting classes and paint a greeting card, but they're mainly stamping and crafting and scrapbooking, and it feels like something anybody can do. And I don't want to, and I think people diminish it as just a hobby that anyone can do, when there is skill involved. You grow, the more you learn, the more techniques you try, the more supplies that you try your hand at. There's so much skill there, and there are so many things to learn. And then when you're done, you've got a card that you can mail to somebody, or you've got a scrapbook page that goes in the album that you have forever and ever. And it just bothers me when I see people kind of diminishing it, like, well, why would you want to stamp when you can draw? And it's the techniques are fun. It's fun to learn new techniques. There are things that you can do with a stamp that you can't do with a pen or a pencil, and it's a hobby that I really enjoy. It's not for everyone. There can be definitely a lot of tools and inks and things that go along with it that can be very overwhelming for beginners. But you know, and part of that is the hobby too, like kind of collecting the different things. Like, I was kind of jealous of crafters when I was working as an art teacher full time downtown in my studio, because they had so many stores. There were stamping stores, and there were scrapbooking stores, and there were craft stores, and there was only one art store in town, and that was it, and it was pretty small. And I felt like crafters had all these options, all these choices, and then when you go into some of these stores, it's like, oh, well, there's alcohol ink, and there's clay, and there's all these fun things. I want to do these fun things. These things look so good. These look so fun. I want to make some jewelry. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, and it was always something new. And you know, you can kind of be a bit of a dilettante, and that's fun. You know, you can do jewelry making for a while, and then okay, well, maybe that's for you, maybe it's not. You can try something else. There's so many different things to try where the skill level to entry is lower, but you can grow, and you can kind of rise in the ranks of the different techniques, and you can perfect different skills. You can branch off to different things. And I almost think that crafting is a good entryway or gateway drug, if you want to, you know, to say, to all sorts of other arts. Once you start getting your hands dirty and you start making things, I think it just makes you want to make more things. And then you kind of grow through these different levels of techniques, and then, you know, you may try your hand at drawing, you may try your hand at painting, you might try your hand at glass bead making. You know, there's so many different branches on that tree of crafting that it's just that when people see the trunk, it feels accessible. You know, it doesn't feel like you're never going to get to that level. It doesn't feel like, I think a lot of people over the age of 10 have decided that they're no longer an artist. If you ask a bunch of kids that are like 5 if they're artists, they're all going to raise their hand. They're going to say yes. But after the age of 10 or so, you ask a group of kids who's an artist, and maybe one person's hand goes up. But they probably would all say that they enjoy crafts because that feels accessible. So I just wanted to clarify a little bit, because I think sometimes it seems that people look down on crafts, and I think that crafting is rich in and of itself. It's rich in history, it's rich in sharing, it's a wonderful community online, the crafting community, and it's a gateway. Stamping is a gateway to so many different things. Sure, you can get into the habit of just buy and not create anything, but more often than not, you know, you buy the red and green ink pad and a Christmas rubber stamp, and you think of all the money you're going to save on your Christmas cards, and then, like, you know, a couple of years later, you've got so many stamps and ink pads, and you know, that's kind of your gateway into stamping, and then the stamping can be a gateway into jewelry making, into painting, into drawing, into all different things. So I stamp because I enjoy it. It's a hobby that I enjoy. It's fun. I love the techniques. The techniques are different than drawing and painting, but they're not less than, and they're not they're fun, they're wonderful, and that's why I like to stamp even though I can draw. I guess it's a long way to say that, isn't it? So whatever you enjoy, to pass the time, whatever you enjoy to be creative, it is awesome. Whether you want to knit or crochet or work in adult coloring books or stamp or oil paint or metalsmith or wire wrap jewelry or macrame, whatever you do that feeds your creative soul is a good thing. And don't let anyone ever make you feel like you're not an artist. If you enjoy creating, then you are a crafter, an artist, a maker, a creator, and it doesn't matter what the label is. You're artistic, you are making something that wasn't there before, and that is rewarding and an excuse to do it in and of itself. You know, you don't need a reason to want to do it. Just be creative and enjoy it, and don't let anybody make you feel bad about it, because it's all good. So yeah, that's a long roundabout way to say it, huh? That's all for today. I have no idea when I'm going to upload this video, but I wanted to address it because a few people asked me that, and I thought, well, why wouldn't I stay up? It's fun, and the community is so awesome. So, I mean, those are 2 reasons right there. Do I need any more, really? I mean, I don't think so. That's definitely reason enough. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy crafting.